Hi guys, I'm live. How you guys doing? Something told me to do a lesson, so I'm going with that. So let's do a lesson. If you want to join me, thank you. I think before I start the lesson, I think there's 5 T's, the letter T in music that are important. It's theory, technique, timing, tone, and tuning. And those are all important. Let's start with the letter T. So, just a little lesson, not much. I want to talk about the way I soloed to my new song, Save Me from the Savior. So the song is most of it's in 4 different keys, but 2 of them have the same mode and 2 of them have the same mode, but a different mode than the other 2. So the progression is G to A flat, and back and forth. And that makes a G Phrygian dominant mode. When I solo, that's the mode I use over that. I'm going to go on about that when it's time to show you the solo, but for now, let's just get the progression down. So G to A flat and back and forth. Then I move to the key of B flat. I play B flat, or you can call it A sharp. Let's call it B flat. B flat to B and back and forth. That implies a B flat Phrygian dominant, which is a minor third. It's B flat's a minor third above G, so they're both Phrygian dominant modes, but they're spread apart by a minor third. Because we play G Phrygian dominant, it's a B flat Phrygian dominant, and then that's for the verses. For the choruses, you go up another minor third, but you play a different progression, and you play C sharp major to G major, and back and forth. And that implies C sharp Locrian, which is really cool. I'm getting into Locrian sometimes, not all the time. Anyone think it'd be dumb, but a little bit. And in the second part of the chorus, go up a minor third from there to E, and play E major and B flat major, which implies E Locrian, which is a minor third, which I'm playing C sharp Locrian and E Locrian, and those 2 keys are a minor third apart, just like the 2 keys were a minor third apart when I did the 2 Phrygian dominant keys. And there's a time when I go up higher for some Locrians, go up to G and then to B flat, but that's it. Most of it is what I just showed you. Now let's talk about the soloing. I already told you the mode I'm going to use. So for the first part is G to A flat, back and forth. Let's analyze this theoretically wise. Okay, if you have G major, that could be the 5 chord in C minor, C harmonic minor. And C harmonic minor would be, or C harmonic minor also has an A flat major. That's the flat 6 chord, because A flat is the flat 6 of C. It's a major chord, so it's an A flat major or flat 6 major chord. And then another chord involved is the G major itself. And that is the dominant chord in C harmonic minor. Or just C minor, call it key-wise. So in C minor, you have an A flat major and a G major if you're playing C harmonic minor. And therefore those 2 chords, G and A flat, belong to the same key, which is C minor. And since you're playing a mode starting on G, but you're in the key of C minor, you end up with a G Phrygian dominant, because the dominant mode to Aeolian is Phrygian, and when you make the Aeolian mode a harmonic minor, that changes the Phrygian to Phrygian dominant rather than Phrygian minor. Technically, you could probably play Phrygian minor over that. It wouldn't sound terrible, but I do Phrygian dominant. So, want to hear some of that and what I do? Just a little sample. So I'm going to play G, A flat major, and that's what's going on behind it. And for the solo, it's just G Phrygian dominant. And sometimes I can play like I'm playing a C minor, C harmonic minor. Continue and end on the G. It makes it more of a G Phrygian dominant than sounding like a C harmonic minor, but they're both the same note. It's just which note is the main note you're starting and ending on for most of the gist of the solo. It's a good mnemonic, MNOMONIC. So that's a method of remembering something. Whenever you have a scale on the fifth string, such as in this case C harmonic minor, the scale of the sixth string is always the dominant mode in that original key. So the dominant mode of C minor is what's on the sixth string of the same fret, which is G. In this case, since it's C harmonic minor, you have G Phrygian dominant. So there you have it. Oh, that's when we played the monotherd of the G. That was a freaking natural Phrygian. That was a mistake, but it didn't sound that bad, right? Then for the next part, it's the same thing, only now you're playing in the key of B flat. And since you're playing B flat major and B major, you have a B flat Phrygian dominant. Which is also that fifth mode of E flat harmonic minor. But remember, if you're playing it technically right, you wouldn't end always on E flat. You'd end on B flat, and therefore, since the notes are E flat harmonic minor, it's also B flat Phrygian dominant. That so far. Then I'm going to go in the choruses to C sharp major to G major, and that's tricky, but not too tricky. The C sharp major can really be considered a C sharp Phrygian dominant chord because that's the closest major chord that you really have in this progression. So really, this is a C sharp major, which implies C sharp Phrygian dominant for that second. But then I go up to G major, which is a tritone or away from the C sharp, and if you have if you have a major chord a tritone away from your root, then your root is a Locrian mode, because if you have Locrian is a seventh mode, so 7 1 2 3 4 is a flat 5, and 4 is a major chord in the key. So that tritone away from the mode you're in implies that mode you're in is Locrian mode. And in Phrygian dominant, it's not that different from Locrian mode. So you play a major chord for the one chord. Technically, you would play diminished chord. You'd play diminished. But we don't have to be perfect. It's rock and roll and government, right? LOL. G sharp, G, and back and forth. There's a tritone progression, which technically could also be G Locrian, because I didn't say which one is the root, did I necessarily? It could also be G Locrian. But let's see how we do the G Locrian. So I'm going to play I mean, not G Locrian, C sharp Locrian, which could be G Locrian, but right now we're considering it as C sharp Locrian. I find three ways of looking at a Locrian mode. I've never discussed this, so let's go for it. First of all, you can start with a Phrygian, natural Phrygian, as a start. So I'm going to play C sharp, regular Phrygian. Okay, that's a C sharp Phrygian. To make a C sharp Locrian from a C sharp Phrygian, just flat the 5, and that would be the G sharp is flatted down to a G. So instead of playing this, I play this. I flat the G, I flat the G sharp down to G, and I get this. I like that sound. And you could also think of it as a leading tone mode of the major scale. So if I'm playing C sharp Locrian, I could call that the 7th mode of D major, or just play D major, but in more or less on C sharp. That's the second way of looking at it. The third way of looking at it is that a Locrian mode is the negative harmony of a Lydian mode. So the intervals of a Locrian mode going up are the same as the intervals of a Lydian mode going down, and vice versa. The negative harmony of a Lydian mode going up is a Locrian mode going down. So in this case, I'm on C sharp, and I'm playing C sharp Locrian. So a C sharp Locrian going up is also a C sharp Lydian going down. So let's try that. I put the C sharp and octave of Lydian. Lydian is whole step, half step, whole step. Let's do it going down though. I have C sharp, whole step down to B, whole step down to A, whole step down to G, half step down to F sharp, half step down to E, half step down to D, half step down to C sharp. So it's a Lydian mode backwards or upside down. Going up, it's the same thing. I find it very useful to think of it as a Lydian in reverse, because you can it's a sneaky way of remembering it. And then the next part, the second part of the choruses is E Locrian, because you have E major to B flat major. And the same thing applies for the Locrian mode. You can play E Locrian mode, so I can try it as a Phrygian with a flat 5. As I think of the 7th mode of, I can think of the 7th mode of the major scale, which would be in this case the 7th mode of F major, which then would be E Locrian. I also think of it as a Lydian mode in reverse, but in the key of E, Locrian. Going downward. I like that sound, you know, it's all right. And that's the gist of what I solo to and why. And I enjoy doing the solo to that. I'm beginning to relax when I solo, like the matter says, relax muscles or fast muscles. I don't want to be tense when I solo. I'm fast. Why have to prove it every second? Why be tense about trying to prove it? And why be tense, which helps you not be fast? LOL. So that's it. There's that. Do I have any other thoughts about any lessons? Let me just brainstorm here. What kind of music are you in the mood to hear some theory from? Okay, this is random, but hey, dig it if you like. Let's do arpeggios in E harmonic minor. We always have an E minor arpeggio in E minor, of course. I have to adjust something. Don't worry, I'm just okay. I tightened the screws on the neck is a bolt-on. It's not a one piece. And I tightened the screws because it was going out of tune easily. But I don't like the way it feels when it's too tight. So I'm going to go back here and just loosen it just a hair. Yeah, just loosen it a hair. It gives a better feel to me. But hopefully I'll still stay in tune. And see if you guys can tell how it plays differently when I loosen this. Just a hair. But then tighten it back, but not as tight as it was before. So I said E harmonic minor takes it in, or E minor takes an E minor arpeggio. But it also takes a D sharp diminished seventh, which can be inverted in minor thirds in the same position, same pattern, but up and down minor thirds. Let's do that. So I'm going to play a D sharp diminished and go up and down. And back to the E. Back to the E minor. That's a cool thing. The trick is don't get lost on the diminished stuff. Don't forget where you are. Go up 3 frets at a time and don't miss your place. And another way to remember that, so you don't get lost, it's up 3 frets each time. But another way of doing it to remember also is remember which notes on the scale take the diminished 7th arpeggio. So first is the 2. So if I'm in E, I can have a 2. I can have F sharp diminished 7th. It takes the 4 takes the diminished 7th. That would be an A, so the 4th. The flat 6 takes a diminished, which is C. And finally D sharp, the leading tone. So you have 2, 4, flat 6, 7. 2, 4, flat 6, 7, 2, 4, flat 6. And that easily goes back to the E minor. So that's good fun. And don't forget that you can do tritones in minor thirds and diminished fifths. So try that. Fun too. It sounds different a little bit than the sweeping version, and it's cool sound. Oh, so fun with music, eh? And that goes back to the lesson I gave you guys about the harmonic minor being a diminished triad on the 7th, leading same tone, diminished tritone on the 2, supertonic, and then a minor tritone on the tonic. So an E harmonic minor could be D sharp diminished, F sharp diminished, and E minor. That's also. Sorry about that. Again. So, and don't forget, you can even make that chord, the one chord, a major chord, and then you would have a harmonic major. So you would have G sharp diminished, F sharp diminished, and E major is harmonic major. So there's that, and the sweeping version would be also the same, but with a major triad instead of a minor for harmonic major. So here's the E harmonic major, arpeggiated in this. I like that. Okay, things come in threes all the time. Let's make a third lesson. What do I want to say? Let's see. How about arpeggios? Sweeping up and down major scale arpeggiation. Just go up and down the chord scale. Let's play in D major. That's D major triad. Then E minor. Triad is the 2 chords. F sharp is the 3 minor. G major is the 4 major. A major is the 5 major. D minor is the 6 minor. D sharp diminished is the 7 diminished. And then back to D major, the 1 chord. Great bass player in the 1980s. He had a column, which was called the instruction column in Guitar World or Guitar Player 1 2. And he said, if you play that kind of thing I just did, it'll keep you out of rock and roll bands. Which he probably thought was good because he's a jazz bassist, right? Try to sweep that slowly though. Listen to this. Go slow. It's actually not easy either. You have to do it really concisely. I'm going to do a raise the action on this high string. Okay, retune. Start again.